This dish is actually fully vegan. It makes a great standalone because it contains all 9 essential amino acids from the 3 sisters. Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Or you may also choose to serve it alongside fish as part of a weeknight fall or wintertime meal, or on your Thanksgiving table with roast turkey. Part of what makes this a great Foodjucation Live recipe is that it's not only super budget friendly, but uses very few ingredients as well. So you will need half a cup of hominy, dried hominy. This is red hominy, though if you find yellow, that's typically more common, and you can use that as well. Fun fact actually about tepary beans. These beans are endemic to the southwestern United States, super duper drought tolerant, and are known to have been cultivated since around 3000 BCE, so a very, very, very long time ago. And then our hominy, very, very common as well in Mexican cooking. It's actually ground into a flour, dried hominy, and turned into masa, if you're familiar with masa, and is undergoes a process when the corn is processed that actually unlocks some of the vitamin B3 or niacin that's available in the plants. That's an example of an indigenous practice that was done agriculturally to process an ingredient that actually increases its nutrient content. While your beans and hominy are cooking, go ahead and preheat your oven to 425 degrees for our squash. And while the oven's preheating, you can actually take your winter squash, make sure that you've rinsed it. I just rinsed it under cold water. And a fairly sharp knife. This is a chef's knife. You can do a whole lot with this one particular knife in your kitchen. It's a great multi-purpose sort of knife for cutting all different types of ingredients. We'll be using it for everything today. And go ahead and take your squash, and here's how to cut a winter squash like this. It can seem pretty intimidating at first. Main thing to keep in mind is just to watch out for your fingertips and make sure that your board is pretty stable on your surface. You can always put a wet towel underneath so that your board doesn't move too much. And we'll go ahead and we will first cut the squash in half. So you may have to kind of use a little bit of elbow grease here. You'll see the knife sliding through. So once your squash is all nice and tossed and ready to go, you'll want to go ahead and pop it into your preheated oven for about 35 to 45 minutes, or until it is nicely roasted and brown. You can even take a fork and kind of pierce one of the pieces and see if it's tender or not. But all this happens while the beans are cooking, so it's a great time saver. And the next thing that we're going to do is to chop our sage. This sage bundle was, I think, 99 cents at the store. This is just about 2 tablespoons or so of sage that we'll want. The bundle, I think, costs 99 cents. So more affordable than you might think to get some fresh herbs in your kitchen. My favorite way to do this is to kind of line them up, the pieces, so you have stem ends there at the bottom. And the good stuff, the leaves there at the top. You can even roll it a little bit to make it a little bit more compact and easy to chop. And then you'll want to curl your fingers in so that you're not accidentally chopping off any of your fingertips. And there you go. So I'll kind of throw the stems off to the side. Those typically aren't as fun to eat. And then if you like, you can give it another chop again, keeping your fingers away from the knife. You can use the butt or back end of the knife to do a lot of the work on this. And there you have it. And the dandelion greens are surprisingly easy to find and cost like under $1.50 for a big bunch of greens. So if you're used to having kale or spinach, definitely give these a try. Dandelions in some form or another are native to most continents around the world. These plants are very, very high in vitamin K, vitamin A, calcium. When you think about vegan sources of calcium, our leafy greens are often top of the list. So definitely give it a try. Again, going budget friendly might mean being outside of our comfort zone a little bit, but can definitely be tasty and super rewarding. So I've gone ahead and drained the beans and the hominy there and saved some of the cooking liquid. I actually poured this out first before I drained the beans in this container here. I've got my pot back on the stove, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this on medium heat. Go ahead and cook off any reserved liquid in there. I want to make sure the pan is nice and dry and hot. You can hear that oil sizzle, so at that point I'm going to go ahead and put my onions into the pan. or to the pot rather. And alongside the onions, I'm going to also add our chili powder and our sage that we chopped up earlier, and a pinch of salt. And grab our wooden spoon, which is over here. Stir that up a little bit and let the onion cook for about 5 to 8 minutes until it's tender. All right, it's been a few minutes and onions are tender. I did go ahead and move them to a shallower pan just so you can get a look at what's going on in here. I apologize, don't have the best camera setup for you all, but you can definitely finish off this dish in your stock pot. What I'll do next actually is add about 1.3 cups of our reserved bean cooking liquid. You'll hear that nice sizzle there. And then once you're back at a simmer, you will add your drained beans and hominy. Color is beautiful here from the chili powder, nice yellowish orangey color, as well as your acorn squash. Once you've given that a stir, you can actually go ahead and turn your heat off. I'll move the pan over here so you can get a better look at it. Probably don't need pot holders there. And the last step is to add your 1/2 cup of chopped dandelion greens. These will wilt pretty quickly, so you don't really need to apply a whole lot of heat for this. And we'll go ahead and stir it all in there. Now you are ready to serve. So I'll go ahead and grab my tasting plate, which I have right here, and I will use this spoon. So that's all there is to it. This is Sean Sherman's Three Sisters bowl with hominy, beans, and squash. We got to try out some new cooking methods and new budget-friendly ingredients today, like squash, winter squash that we roasted, dried beans that we soaked, dandelion greens. So based on today, I'll ask our takeaway question, and that is, what is one new budget-friendly ingredient or cooking method that you want to try?